The Constitution of India, Preamble. We, the people of India, having solemnly resolved to constitute India into a sovereign, socialist, secular, democratic republic and to secure to all its citizens justice, social, economic and political, liberty of thought, expression, belief, faith and worship, equality of status and of opportunity, and to promote among them all fraternity, assuring the dignity of the individual and the unity and integrity of the nation. In our Constituent Assembly, this 26th day of November 1949, do hereby adopt, enact and give to ourselves this Constitution.
Hi my dear happy children, welcome back. How are you all? Hope everyone is happy and safe at home. Today, I want to deal with a story, a beautiful story, A Day in the Country, written by Anton Pavlovich Chekhov. Anton Pavlovich Chekhov was a Russian physician and writer who is considered to be among the greatest writers of short stories. His career as a dramatist produced 4 classics, and his best short stories are held in high esteem by writers and critics. Chekhov is often referred to as one of the 3 seminal figures of the early modern theatre. A Day in the Country is a beautiful story of 2 orphaned siblings. What do you mean by orphan? O-R-P-H-A-N, orphan. Orphan means one who lost their parents. Siblings means brothers and sisters. So it's a beautiful story of 2 orphaned siblings named Danilka and Fyokla. The protagonist of the story is Mr. Terenty, the cobbler. So Terenty, Fyokla and Danilka were together in the woods. Woods means a small forest. Why they were in the woods? Do you want to know, children? So let's go through the story. Okay? So the characters are Terenty, the cobbler, Fyokla, a little girl of 6, Danilka, an 8-year-old fellow, and Silandy Slitch, Terenty's bosom friend, close friend. So they are the characters in the story. Between 8 and 9 o'clock in the morning, a dark leaden colored mass is creeping over the sky towards the sun. There is a sound of faraway rumbling. A warm wind frolics over the grass, bends the trees, and stirs up the dust. In a minute, there will be rain and a real storm will begin. So, a dark leaden colored mass, dark leaden means heavy, is creeping over the sky towards the sun. So, it shows the arrival of the rain. There is a sound of faraway rumbling. Rumbling means deep sound of thunder. A warm wind frolic over the grass. So, due to the heavy wind, the grass is swaying. Bend the trees and stirs up the dust. In a minute, there will be rain and a real storm will begin. Fyokla, a little girl of 6, is running through the village. So, the setting, the story taken place in a village. Fyokla is looking for Terenty, the cobbler. The white-haired, barefoot child is pale. Her eyes are wide open, her lips are trembling. So, the appearance of the girl is white-haired, barefoot. Barefoot means without slippers. Her eyes are wide open, her lips are trembling. Trembling means shivering. Is it due to the wind? Let's see. Uncle, where is Terenty? She asked everyone she meets. So she was searching for Terenty, and whoever she met, she asked for Terenty. No one answers. They are all preoccupied with the approaching storm and take refuge in their huts. So everyone are rushing to their huts because they know that it's going to be heavy rain. At last, she meets Terenty's bosom friend. Bosom means close friend. Uncle, where is Terenty? At the kitchen gardens, answers he. So she got the reply, Terendi was in kitchen garden. The girl runs behind the huts to kitchen gardens and there finds Terendi, the tall old man with a thin, pockmarked face, very long legs and bare feet, dressed in a woman's tattered jacket, is standing near the vegetable plots, looking with drowsy eyes at the dark storm cloud. On his long legs, he sways in the wind. So at last, the little girl, Fiokla, found out Terendi. Where was he? Yes, he was in the kitchen garden. And what about the appearance of Terendi? Yes, he was a tall old man with a thin pockmarked face. What do you mean pockmarked face? Look at the picture. Yes, pockmarked face, very long legs and bare feet. Again without slippers. Dressed in a woman's tattered jacket. Tattered means worn out. Worn out jacket. Is standing near the vegetable plots, looking with a drowsy eyes at the dark stormy cloud. Uncle Terenti, the white-headed girl addressed him. Uncle, darling. So the girl became happy by seeing Terenti. Terenti bent down to Fiokla because she was a little girl, and his grim face is overspread with a smile. Grim means gloomy face. Whose face was gloomy? Yes, Terenti's. But by seeing Fiokla, he became happy. He smiled. Such as come into people's faces when they look at something little, foolish and absurd. Absurd means ridiculous, but warmly loved. So, he was working in the kitchen garden. By seeing Fiokla, he smiled. Ah, Fiokla, he says, lisping tenderly, where, where have you come from? Uncle Terendi, says Fiokla with a sob. Sob means crying. Brother Danilka has had an accident. Come along. So, why was she sobbing? Yes, because her brother Danilka met an accident. What sort of accident? Oh, what thunder! Holy, holy, holy! What sort of accident? So, Terendi became shocked by hearing that. In the count's scope, Danilka stuck his hand into a hole in a tree and he can't get it out. Come along, uncle. Do be kind and pull his hand out. So what happened to Danilka? Yes, copse means COPSC, a small group of trees, that is a wood. Danilka stuck his hand into a hole in a tree. And what happened? He could not able to take it out. So the little girl searched for Terenti and he asked help from Terenti. How was it he put in his hand in? What for? He wanted to get a cuckoo's egg out of the hole for me. So why did Danilka put his hand inside the hole? Yes, to take cuckoo's egg. For whom? For little girl. For his sister, Fiokla. The day has hardly begun and already you are in trouble. Terendi shook his head. So Terendi became upset. Terendi comes out from the kitchen garden and begins striding down the village street. Striding means walk through the village street. He walks quickly without stopping or looking from side to side. Fiokla can hardly keep up with him because Terendi has long legs, so he was walking quickly. The little girl couldn't able to walk along with Terendi. The clouds have by now covered the sun, and soon afterwards there is not a speck of blue left in the sky. So the clouds covered the sun, whole sun, and there were no sunlight. It grows dark. Holy, 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 whispers Fiokla, hurrying after Terenti. The first raindrops, big and heavy, lie dark dots on the dusty road. A big drop falls on Fiokla's cheek and glides like a tear down her chin. So, it started raining. And what happened? A big drop falls on Fiokla's cheek and glides like a tear down her chin. The rain has begun, mutters the cobbler. Mutter means murmur. Who's the cobbler? Yes, Terenti. The That's fine, Fiocla little girl. The grass and the trees are fed by the rain as we are by bread. So what's the food for us? The grains, pulses, vegetables, like that, isn't it? But here, but what is the food for? Grass and trees. Yes, mainly rain. And as for thunder, don't you be frightened, little girl. Why should it kill a little thing like you? So Tarandi told to Fiocla that don't be afraid of thunder. As soon as the rain begins, the wind drops. So the wind slowly stopped. The only sound is the patter of the rain dropping like fine shot of the young rye and the parched road. So there were no sounds of wind, only the patter of rain dropping like fine shot of the young rye. Rye is a type of grain, and on the parched road. Parched road means dried out. Okay? We shall get soaked, Fiocla, mutters Charity. There won't be a dry spot left on us. Ho ho, my girl! It's run down my neck. But don't be frightened, silly. The grass will be dry again, the earth will be dry again, and we shall be dry again. There is the same sun for us all. So again and again, Charity was telling the little girl not to be afraid of the thunder and the rain. A flash of lightning, some 14 feet long, gleams over their head. There is a loud peal of thunder, and it seems to Fiocla that something big, heavy, and round is rolling over the sky and tearing it open exactly over her head. Suddenly, what happened? Yes, the loud sound of thunder. Holy, 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 says Charity. Don't be afraid, little girl. It's not from sky that it thunders. Again and again, Charity was giving warning to little girl not to be frightened. Charandi's and Fiocla's feet are covered with lumps of heavy wet clay. It is slippery and difficult to walk, but Charandi strides on more and more rapidly. So because of the rain, they couldn't able to move fast. But Charandi walked with long steps and quickly. The weak little girl is breathless and ready to drop. Who was very weak? Yes, little girl was very weak and she couldn't able to cope up with Charity. But at last they go into the count's copse. So at last they reach the small wood. The washer trees, stirred by a gust of wind, drop a perfect waterfall upon them. Charity stumbles over stumps and begins to slacken his pace. So Charity also unable to move fast. Whereabouts is Danilka? He asked. Let me to him. So at last they reached the woods, the small forest, and Charity asked the little girl to take Charity to Danilka. Fiocla leads him to the thicker and after going a quarter of a mile, points to Danilka, her brother, a little fellow of 8, with hair as red as ochre and a pale, sickly face, stands leaning against a tree and with his hand on one side, looking sideways at the sky. So at last, Tarandi met Danilka. What about the appearance of Danilka? Yes, he was a boy of 8. What about his hair? His hair is as red as ochre. Ochre means is a type of a clay. And a pale, sickly face, standing leaning against a tree. And with his one hand on one side, looking sideways at the sky. So, Danilka was searching for someone. In one hand, he holds his shabby old cap. Shabby means old dirty cap. The other hand is hidden in the old lime tree. So in one hand, he was holding his old shabby cap. And what about the other hand? Yes, it was inside the hole of the tree. The boy is gazing at the stormy sky and apparently not thinking of his trouble. Hearing footsteps and seeing the cobbler, he gives sickly smile and says, so he became happy by seeing Charandi, but he was very tired. Who was very tired? Yes, Danilka. A terrible lot of thunder, Charandi. I have never heard so much thunder in all my life. And where is your hand? So, whose words are these? A terrible lot of thunder? Yes, Danilka. And what's your hand? Who asked to whom? Yes, Charandi asked to Danilka. In the hole, pull it out please, Charity. So the boy also requested Charity to help him. The wood had broken at the edge of the hole and jammed Daniel's hand. He could push it farther in but could not pull it out. Charity snaps off the broken piece and the boy's hand, red and crushed, is released. So the wood had broken at the edge of the hole and jammed. Jam means stuffed Daniel's hand. He could push it farther in but could not able to pull it out. At last, who helped? Charandi helped him to pull out his hand from the hole of the tree. So at last it released. It's terrible how it's thundering, the boy says again, rubbing his hand. What makes it thunder, Charandi? So the boy is not bothering about his hand. Again and again he was asking about the thunder. One cloud runs against the other. So the boy asks how the thunder occur. And what about the answer of Charity? Yes, one cloud run against the other. Answers the cobbler. The party come out of the coves. Party here means the three persons. That is Charity, Fiokla and Danilka. They came out of the woods and walked along the edge of it towards a darkened road. The thunder gradually abates. Abates means less. And its rumbling is heard far away beyond the village. So rumbling means deep sound. So what happened now? Yes, the sound of thunder became less. The ducks flew by here the other day, Terenti, says Danilka, still rubbing his hand. Fiokla, would you like me to show you Nightingale's nest? Don't touch it. You might disturb them, says Terenti, wringing the water out of his cap. So wringing means squeezing because his cap is wet because of the rain. So he was squeezing the cap. The nightingale is a singing bird. We know that. Isn't it, children? You already learned in the story Nightingale and the Rose. He has had a voice given in his throat to gladden the heart of a man. It's a sin to disturb him. So, Tarandi said that don't disturb the nightingale. A bright patch of blue appears in the sky. It shows the rain has stopped. And here are some bees, cries Danilka, pointing to the branch of a young oak tree. The drenched and the chilled bees are huddled together on a branch. Huddled means gathered. As we know that bees are always huddled together. There are so many of them that neither bark nor leaf can be seen. Many of them are settled on one another. That's a swarm of bees. That is a group of bees. Charlie informs them. They were flying looking for a home, and when the rain came down upon them, they settled. So, the bees were searching for their home, but what happened? When it rained, they settled in the tree. If a swarm is flying, swarm means group of bees are flying, you need only sprinkle water on them and to make them settle. Now, if say you want to take the swarm, you would bend the branch with them into a sack and shake it, all will fall in. So, if you want the bees, what we have to do? We have to bend the branch of the tree into a sack and shake it. Then what happened? Yes, all the bees will fall into the sack. Little Fiokla suddenly frowns and rubs her neck vigorously. Her brother looks at her neck and sees a big swelling on it. How it happened? What happened? Yes. Hey, hey, laughs the cobbler. Do you know where you got from that, Fiokla, old girl? There are Spanish flies on some tree in the wood. The rain has trickled off them and a drop has fallen on your neck. That's what has made the swelling. Yes, because the Spanish bees, the swelling had happened. The sun appears from behind the clouds and floods the wood, the fields and the tree fronts with his warm light. The dark, menacing cloud, menacing means dangerous cloud, has gone far away and taken the storm with it. So now the weather is clear, the air is warm and fragrant. Fragrant means the sweet smell. That herb is given when your nose bleeds, says Charity. Pointing to the woolly looking flower, it does good. So Charity was explaining about the herbs in the woods. They crossed the railway line and going down from the embankment, walked towards the river. They walk not with any object but just as random and talk all the way. Danielka asks questions, Charity answers them. So they were walking to the village. While they were walking, Danielka asks many questions to Charity and Charity answers all. Charity answers all his questions, and there is no secret in nature which baffles him. He knows everything. Who knows everything? Yes, Charity. Thus, for example, he knows the names of all the wildflowers, animals, and stones. He knows what herbs cure diseases. He has no difficulty in telling the age of a horse or a cow. So, Tarandi knew everything in the village, in the nature. Looking at the sunset, at the moon, or the birds, he can tell what sort of weather it will be exactly be next day. And indeed, it is not only Tarandi who is wise. So, not only Tarandi is wise, Silandi Silich, the innkeeper, the market gardener, the shepherd, and all the villagers, generally speaking, know as much he does. So, the village people, they know everything about the nature, the changes in the nature. These people have learned not from books but in the fields. Field means the nature, the surroundings, in the wood or on the river bank. Their teachers have been the birds themselves. When they sang to them, the sun, when it left a glow of crimson behind it as setting, the trees, the very trees and the wild herbs. So the villagers doesn't learn anything from the book. They learn from the nature. Fields, they learned from the wood. So the birds, the woods are the teachers for them. The two of them, the cobbler and the boy, walked about the fields, talk unceasingly. Unceasingly means without stopping, not stopping, and are not weary. They were talking about the nature. Danielka was asking many questions, and who replied for all the questions? Yes, Charandi gave answers for all the questions, but they were not tired. They could wander about the world endlessly. They'd walk and then, in their talk of the beauty of the earth, do not notice the frail little girl tripping after them. Frail means weak. So, Charity and Anka forgot about the little girl who was coming behind them. They were discussing about the nature, about the trees, about the herbs, and they were enjoying the things. Towards midday means noon, afternoon, all three sit down on the river bank. Danielka takes out his bag a piece of bread, soaked and reduced to mash, and they begin to eat. So Danielka carried bread in his bag and they started eating. Charandi says a prayer when he has eaten the bread, then stretches himself on the sandy bank and falls asleep. So before the meal, Charandi prayed and he ate the bread and he slept. While he is asleep, the boy gazes at the water, pondering. He has many different things to think of. He has just seen the storm, the bees, and the ants. Only towards the evening, our wanderers returned to the village. So they were taking rest. Only at the evening, they will return back. The children go for the night to a deserted barn. Desert means empty barn. The boy does not sleep. He gazes into the darkness, and it seems to him that he is seeing all that he has seen in the day: the storm, clouds, the bright sunshine, the birds, the fish, lanky Tarenti. Lanky means thin and tall. So the boy did not sleep. He was thinking of all the things which he has seen in the morning. He longs to tell someone all that is haunting him now, but there is no one to tell. So he wanted to share his experience to someone, but there were no one with him except this little girl. Fiokla is too little and could not understand. So Danielka knew that Fiokla couldn't able to understand anything. I will tell Charity tomorrow. thinks the boy. So the boy thought that he could share everything to Tarandy by the next day. The children fall asleep thinking of the homeless cobbler, and in the night, Charity comes to them and puts bread under their heads. So, as I told already, these two children, Danilka and Fyogla, were orphans. So, who fed them? Yes, Charity. And no one sees his love. It is seen only by the moon, which floats in the sky and peeps caressingly through the holes in the wall of the deserted barn. Deserted means empty, empty. Who fed the two children? Yes, Tarindi the cobbler. Even the children doesn't know who has kept the bread under their pillows. So Tarindi loved, cared, and fed them without their knowledge. He educated them by satisfying their curiosity about the nature and its wonders. So it's a simple story about sharing and caring. I hope you understood the story. So today's homework is write the character sketch of Terenti. Got it, children? Yes. So that's all for today. We will meet in the next class. Until then, it's bye from your own in the teacher. Thank you.